So he's finally back. Jack Garratt is back, and I cannot be happier, to be fair. He's finally released his first single and his first piece of music in almost exactly 4 years now. The last thing he released before this massive 4-year hiatus was his album Phases back in February 2016. But since then, there's been literally nothing. So obviously finding out on his social media and stuff that this was being released, I was over the moon. I was really happy since I loved the whole Phases album. It's one of my favourite albums of the 2010s, probably one of my favourite albums ever, to be fair. Jack Garratt won the Critics' Choice Awards, I think in the 2016 Brit Awards, for Best Rising Star. And I remember somebody, I can't remember who it was, but one of the hosts or somebody there described him as somebody from the future. His music is from the future. And at that point in time, I didn't understand it until I think it was the next year, 2017, when I realized that everything that he was making was way ahead of its time. When you listen to his music, you can really hear the differences in genres and all the genres that he puts together, that he blends and sort of merges into one amazing unit. And if you listen to some of the more popular songs now, like the whole of Billie Eilish's album, When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go, a lot of what Jack Garratt did back in 2016 is sort of implemented in that album. Not saying that Phineas and Billie used him exactly as an inspiration or said, oh, we're going to copy him. But Jack has a very, very similar style of production and putting everything together. It feels more rough because there's so many instruments and so raw, rather than Phineas's polished approach to everything. Usually I feel like one-man bands or one-person bands don't really work out, especially if they're doing something as experimental and as raw as what Jack does with his production, and especially with the whole genre blending thing. And you can see it in the likes of Tash Sultana all in Australia, who she does something very similar whenever it comes to live performances. It's just her playing everything. Her production is somewhat similar but has a bit more of an indie vibe to it. And then you've also got Grandson over in America, who is making some of the best rock music I have heard in a long time. Best rock, political rock music I've heard in a very long time. I feel like his style is just so amazing, and I feel like people need to be listening to them a lot more. Obviously they've both blown up over the past few years, and that sort of shows what I mean by Jack Garratt was ahead of his time, because these two people came into prominence more in 2018, back in 2017, 2018, whereas Jack Garratt probably produced his whole album in 2015-14 and then released the album in 2016. So you can see why I feel as if he was way ahead of his time. The first song on this single is a song called Time, which is Jack sort of expressing that he realized that something was wrong with him after his tour and after he released his debut album. But he couldn't really figure out what, and then once he figured out what, he realized that it was sort of his anxiety coming back up, and he sort of had this sense of self-hatred. And in the song he sort of expresses that, and that he never felt like it was enough. Why wasn't it enough for him to just be okay with life and okay with where he was? He uses the chorus brilliantly though, because it is essentially just saying that everything takes time. You don't need to rush yourself to be healed or to feel better. You can take your time. Nothing's really going to be going anywhere. You just relax and things will sort themselves out, if nothing else. And I think that's a really good message to have. But also when you look at the rest of the song in terms of its production, it's just this monstrous beast. The first half is so motivational and so out there, and it's really doing really well with the electric guitars, the drums and the synths. They are working so well and coming together to make this sort of uplifting anthem. And then the second half of the song, when the trombone comes in, is just absolutely brilliant. I cannot express enough how much you sort of want to get up and dance, because of just how uplifting and motivational it is. And that's a bit ironic, because since Jack released Phases, he's basically just stopped dancing altogether. So to have a song in here that starts off the album, I believe, and that will start you off on this wonderful journey of exploration and sort of going into Jack's head, you're also realizing that he's rediscovering himself. The second song on this single is a song called Mara, which I'm sort of seeing Mara, this personification of this person that's created, as his anxiety, his self-doubt, is just everything that he has struggled with, really. Because he goes on a peaceful walk sort of to collect himself and to sort of figure out how he can figure himself out. So he is just confronting his own issues, confronting the problems that he's had in his life, the issues that he's had to face, especially after all this pressure has been put up on him, after winning not only one but 2 national awards in music, as being seen as a rising star. Lyrically, this is arguably the most consistent throughout the entire song and the best. The third and final song on this single is a song called Return to the One, and this song gives me a lot of Bon Iver vibes. In terms of its production, the lyrics, the performance, the distortion that he does on his own vocals are amazingly well done. It reminds me of Bon Iver during his 22 A Million album, which to this day is one of my favourites as well. So Jack sort of uses some of those sounds and incorporates some of the themes whenever it comes to the production that is in that album, but makes them his own, makes them more electronic, makes them a bit more poppy. On the song, he's reclaiming his life, sort of finally is confronting his issues and saying, you know what, I'm going to resolve everything, I'm going to accomplish everything I've come here to do, I'm going to sort everything out. But not to the point that he's going to be like, okay, yeah, all of these issues that I've had, all of my anxiety, the self-hatred that I've had, they're not going to go away. I'm just going to be able to deal with them. I'm going to be able to say, I'm now content with my life, and I know they're always going to be present, but now I'm to the point where I can move on with my life. I can move forward knowing that they're still going to be reoccurring, but they are something that I can now live with. And that, to him, and I think even to me, is a massive progress if you are struggling with that, because you're always going to feel as if you're not good enough. You're always going to feel as if you can't live up to your own expectations. But if you can sort of get to that point of saying, you know what, I may feel like that, but I'm still happy with who I am, I'm happy with where I am in my life and moving forward with my life, then that is the best thing you can do, because that is the biggest step and the first step really to living a happier life. Jack also includes a radio edit of his song Time, just that is 2 minutes shorter. It's pretty much the same feel. It's just another, as I said, triumphant and motivational song. But yeah, I feel as if as an entire single, the 3 songs that are in there, they do feel very much cut from the same cloth that he used to create Phases back in 2016. He's starting to use more percussion instruments. He's starting to use obviously a lot of the brass instruments, and obviously the drums and the synths have always been there with him, but I feel like this is almost or at a similar level to what he did in Phases. I don't think there's been too much progression or too much change since then, which to me I'm happy with, because it's still this on its own, these 3 songs are songs that I am going to enjoy for a very, very long time. So I can't wait until the album. But you can also see the influences that he's got on this, because there's such a merge of different genres. There's aspects of rock, there's aspects of funk, there's aspects of drum and bass and pop, and there's just everything that I could have wanted this to be, it pretty much is. And like I said, I just can't wait until the album is out. I believe it's the 19th of May that it's going to be released. Give this single a listen. It's only 3 songs, probably about 16 minutes if you were to listen to all 3. And yeah, it's enjoyable. I really, really recommend it. It's good. So that was sort of like a quick rundown of what I thought of Jack Garratt's latest single, Love, Death and Dancing Vol. 1. There will be various other volumes to be coming forward before the album, but I won't be reviewing them. I won't even be listening to any of the songs. I want to wait until the actual album is released. So I'm going to have to starve myself for another 3 months or so. But I mean, I've survived 4 years. 3 months shouldn't be that hard. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, and I will see you all later. See yous. Oh, yeah, and I have decided I am going to keep doing this. It's going to be my thing now, so yeah, deal with it.